Have a few minutes? You won't believe what you can do with it. Open a Regions checking account online in as little as 5 minutes. Then enjoy award-winning service and banking tools and tech that help you live in the moment. Learn more at regions.com/live in the moment. Regions Bank, member FDIC.
Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio in the Gas South Convention Center, it's time for Gwinnett Business Radio. Gwinnett Business Radio is presented by Regions Bank, member FDIC.
And greetings and salutations, everybody. It's your slightly annoying host, Stephen Julian. Welcome to another hopefully award-winning edition of Gwinnett Business Radio. Here on Business RadioX, we have two fantastic guests with us this morning. Duffie Dixon is here from the Gwinnett County Public Library, and also Jess Villegas is here with ACUITY Business Consulting. But one other person who is here with me inside the Gas South Convention Center in wonderful Duluth, Georgia, is my wonderful co-host, Harper LaBelle.
Did you honestly earn your wife who's here today by dancing the way you just did when the music started?
That's a big negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is not full when it comes to my dancing.
That head shake was so bad. Oh my! Now you're doing the.
So we've been talking about. We've been talking about.
Just do.
We've been talking about Catholic schools. I went to a Christian school. We were not allowed to dance, and boy, does it show!
It
and
sure does.
All my life.
My goodness.
So
well,
thankfully, I can do other things like interview fantastic guests.
We've got two of them today.
We do.
Do you want to introduce both at the same time?
I just did at the beginning of the show, like about 30 seconds ago. I don't know where your head was.
I was still in shock from watching your head shake.
Nice.
Shake
well
like
done.
A salt shaker.
Why don't we get down to business, because that's what everybody is here to listen to. Duffie Dixon from the Gwinnett County Public Library System is here with us this morning. Duffie, welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much.
So when we introduce people from different businesses and different organizations, a lot of times the name tells exactly what it is. There probably isn't anyone listening who when they hear library, doesn't have an image come up or have a thought or a memory. So we kind of know what the library is, but we may not know what the library is because things have been changing, things are moving forward, some things are staying the same. Tell us about the Gwinnett County Public Library and what you do with them.
I am the Director of Marketing and Communications, and I come from a TV background, so this job is very familiar in some respects as far as marketing and telling great stories about all the great things happening. On the other hand, I'm like you. I was in libraries, I guess, through college, but I hadn't been to a library in a long time. Libraries are not what you remember in the best sense. I mean, I know you loved your library when you were young, and we still do all of those things. We still have books, and we still have story times, and we still have, programs where you learn art, and we bring in animals and all those fun things. But the library has really evolved to what the community wants. So a number of things that we do, and it's so vast.
Duffie, do you still have the index cards that you got to pull
No.
it out of the drawer and find the book?
Nope.
And just to know that the MRQ-27 is not in the spot that it's supposed to be, is that still a part of the library?
We killed the Dewey Decimal.
Did you
system.
really?
We did.
You killed it?
It's gone.
With the shotgun?
Were you
I can't
gracious?
say-
in
Did you have to
that,
shoot
or-
it twice?
We gently ushered Dewey out the door. Yes. So what we learned, I think what libraries all learned, is that, when you had the Barnes & Noble, you go for a book and you may not know exactly the title. It's not like school when they tell you what to read. So if you go into a bookstore, it's very user-friendly. I like romance. I like crime. I like, science fiction. So really quickly, the Gwinnett County Public Library, which was kind of on the forefront, it did it before most other libraries. They figured out, wait a minute, why don't we make it easier to use for the customer if the customer doesn't know the Dewey Decimal System? And you're right. The problem with that is you spend all that time, you write it on your little piece of paper, you go to find it, and it's not there because someone has forgotten to do the 0.5 versus the 0.8. Yeah, it was frustrating. So now you walk into a library, and it is very much by title or by, not even title, it's by genre. And then, this is genius, it's by the author's last name. So if I want Bev Allen's book, I go to A, and there it is. What's also cool is that all of her books, if you like that author, you see what else they have written. So the way you even find books is different. Of course, we now have audiobooks. Those are huge. We have large print books, which are great. And I'll just say, I don't mind those when I'm out by the pool, so I don't have to wear readers and sunglasses. We have videos. We have all sorts of, oh, by the way, nobody is buying magazines anymore, right? Don't. Right. Because with a library card, your library card is free. Yeah, you get access to every publication, newspaper, magazine. We even have a streaming service where you can watch movies. This is the best thing about the library. It's all free.
So Dewey wasn't. You stated as ushered it out. I think you upgraded from Dewey.
We did.
That's clearly what you did. But you started to kind of talk about, apart from more easily locating books and separating by genre and making it more user friendly. There are other programs and events and things going on that maybe we never even dreamed of our library doing when we were growing up. Talk about that.
So we have things called learning labs, which don't let that turn you off. They're basically maker spaces where you learn things. We have 3D printers you can use for free. You pay for the plastic, it's nominal. It's a nominal fee. We have 3D printers. We have sewing machines. We have suites where you can do podcasting, but you should always podcast at Business RadioX. Let me be clear.
Wait. She laughed kind of sarcastically after she said that.
For those who want to practice,
that too, right.
For those who want to practice the craft of podcasting,
For those who want to give it a try.
Podcast
right?
studios.
Yeah.
We have all the best equipment. We have a mixer. We have video production rooms. That includes all the soundproofing, the green screens. We have still photography. Now, when
Do you have
come,
a producer to give you a hard time at the library just to tell you?
Are you looking for side work?
Ooh.
I love that.
That was
Hey,
good.
is there still somebody at the front desk to say shh when you make too much noise?
First of all, we don't have front desks anymore.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
Stop it.
Why would we have those big bulky
You
things
need someone
that intimidate
to tell you where to go when you don't know where you're going.
Well, we're there, but we're going to greet you with a very small moving, I don't even call it kiosk. It's basically like a small little cart that they have. It has their laptop on there. When you walk into any one of our libraries, you'll see someone who says, "Hey, welcome, hi, can I help you?"
They don't say shh.
No, you don't have to be quiet in the library anymore. Are you ready? Wait for it. You can also bring in food and drink.
No way.
to the
Get
library.
out.
Come
There's
on.
no way.
Hold on.
That's
Wait.
not my library.
Now,
Stop it.
these people who are no longer behind the giant desks, it's almost like Batman's utility belt, but it's a little moving
Exactly, and they
cart,
move
right?
around, so they
Yeah.
go where
So
they're
it's
needed.
It's a superhero cart.
Right, and they
that
also
have.
will leave the cart and come walk you to what you need to find. It's pretty cool.
So, my goodness. All right. So, one of the things before we came on the air, you were scolding some people in the studio
I was watching that school.
who do not have a library or lost their library card.
That's not what you did. You lost your library
I'm
card.
not saying who it is. Okay, I'm not gonna throw that person
You're
under
not
the
going
bus.
to give away.
Let's
who
just
the
say there were
whistleblower is.
several of you, and I'm not happy with you.
I'm slightly annoyed that I lost my. Sorry. So anyway, in order to partake of all these wonderful things, because what I was going to say was we were kind of talking through things, and you just kept going. Oh, we do this thing. Oh, we do this thing. We do sewing. We do. I mean, it's like, is there anything the library isn't there to help with or teach? And I mean, it's this source of learning, education, resource.
It won't do your
and
homework
practice.
for you, Stephen.
Actually, wait.
What you do? You do Stephen's homework for him?
Well,
I don't
we
have any
don't do
homework.
that, but for kids who want a little extra help, you walk into the library. It's first come, first serve, but we usually have enough people. Someone will sit down with you and do homework help. We do that with librarians and with volunteers. We also have a cool thing called tutor.com. We pay for it. It's free to you. You can go online, have a virtual meeting or a phone call with a tutor in any subject, and they will help you. This is the part nobody knows about. Tutor.com will also, if you have a big paper that you have to write, you send it into tutor.com and they help you with writing suggestions, reworking it, and for those business people who are always wondering about their resume, you send it to tutor.com and they will revamp your resume for you for free.
What if you need it tomorrow morning? Because usually I would tell Mom on Wednesday that I needed the project done on Thursday morning. How's that going to go for
The
me?
tutors are available roughly between 9 a.m. and 8 p.m. And if it's after those hours, you leave it with them, and most times they will have it done for you in the morning.
All right, so we're speaking with Duffie Dixon.
Stump me
She
again.
is-
Stump me again. What else
I
do you
was
think
going
we
to
don't
say,
do?
we're speaking with Duffie Dixon. She's the Director of Marketing and Communications. You can also check out her latest podcast, which I'm sure she's recording both from Business Radio X and from the Gwinnett County Public Library podcasting studios. It's going to be called Stump Duffie, and what
On library.
doesn't the library do for me? So let's talk about something that a lot of people do remember if they went to the library, especially as they were growing up. We are recording this right at the start of summer in 2023. This is going to be ageless because this is something that's been going on almost every summer all around Atlanta, especially in Gwinnett County. The summer reading program and the summer reading event for kids, and I guess it's for all ages. But talk a little bit about that.
So you're right. Many people fondly remember when you were kids going to the library, and they have the summer reading challenge. So what does that mean? It's all on an app now, basically. You sign on to an app, and kids and adults get points. You basically log how many hours you read. And when you read a certain amount of hours, you're eligible for prizes, free books, food coupons, and then basically the more you read, the more you can win, and the more times you're entered to win our grand prizes. So this year, the theme of our Summer Reading Challenge is Camp Kindness. So everything we're doing has sort of a camp theme. We're doing some campfire stories. We had a big kickoff at the Kids Expo where basically we had face painters and someone doing balloon animals, and we had a juggler, and we just made it a real fun summer experience. We also, for the first time, I believe in our history, have Camp Kindness t-shirts available for kids for $7. So everyone should be able to get their Camp Kindness t-shirt. We want you to sign up. You know, your teachers are telling you to read anyway during the summer. So why not read and win prizes? And for parents, if you have little kids, if you're reading them the same book over and over every night, that still counts. Count that all as a new hour. And your child is available for a really cool prize. It's camp toys. We found this really cool kit of camp toys. So we want to encourage everyone to read. And then for kids, once you read, you go to your branch. We have a summer reading guide, which is more than 900 programs we're doing between June and July, all free at a branch near you. We're excited. We want kids and families to come spend the summer at the library. When it gets hot, we've got free AC. When it, we'll keep
They've
you
even
cool.
got AC, Stephen.
Good
giving
AC.
out AC.
Good AC. Like, I go there because my AC, I have to keep it at a certain level. We crank ours. So, yeah, we want people as families to come enjoy things. We have family game nights. We have scavenger hunts. Next week, we're kicking off the official, when the programming starts, we have a week of magic shows all around all the branches. Ken Scott, who is widely known and very popular, he's going to be at a number of branches the first week in June. We have our game jam. This is our second ever game jam, and this is for teenagers. You come and learn with coding how to make your own video game, and then you debut it, and then people try it out, and the top games get showcased. That's something that's over my head. And then at the end of the summer, we have our puppet shows, and those are from our youth services program. They're pretty talented. So we've got a lot of stuff going on. We're really, really excited. So we want people, come to the library, bring the kids, enjoy yourselves.
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus because, we talked about the library card already, and another thing that was happening was sometimes people get mocked for going to the library as a child and reading a lot. And
I believe you were mocked just a moment ago by Harper before we started.
But
You're
you
know what? You're smarter than him now. So now we know you should go to the
Well,
library,
you're
right?
smarter anyways, but Camp Kindness has changed my ways.
So I think there's nothing else left to ask except if people haven't used their library card in a while, not sure where it is, or they've never gotten one. How many branches
Or if they're going
are
to lie
there?
and say that they lost it, even though we know that they didn't.
We don't care.
You don't care?
We're not going to ask. No, we're not going to look you up. We're not going to report you.
And sometimes I may even have a balance still on there. I think from overdue books and okay, so.
Yeah, it's not that much money.
I know.
Do you care about
We'll
that,
work
though?
with
Do
you.
you care about that? You do care about tardiness and late
You gotta
late
pay. You
fines.
gotta pay a
Give me
fine.
the book back. Bring it back.
I feel like Harper just had a bad library experience
think
when he
he
was a
did.
kid.
Did someone hurt you at
This
the
is not the
library?
Listen, when I
library we
had
have.
my library card was my first form of identification. I was somebody. Remember from the movie
Yeah,
The Jerk?
that's
I am
true.
somebody,
Yes.
and I couldn't go into a college bar, with one
Did
of
they-
those and get in
Did they
when
put
I
your
thought I was
picture?
underage.
They put your picture on the
So,
library card.
He was on the
That
wall.
was a little rough,
You know,
but-
don't give more than 2 books to this young man.
Well, one of the things I find interesting is I've actually done this is I'll take out a CD or some music that I don't have, and then I'll take it home and I'll copy it and then bring it
goodness
back.
gracious, don't.
And I get to listen to
if
a
Mr.
band or
Bookman,
two.
if Mr. Bookman, the library cop, is listening,
Have
he's
you
in
ever-
trouble now.
I never said we weren't listening.
Have you ever copied a couple
This
of
may be
pages of your favorite book?
This
and
may
then
be
you
the
keep it?
whole reason I came on the show. We've been looking for this
a
guy.
sting
We've been looking
operation.
for this guy for years.
I bring the CD back. They get the music, but you didn't include that earlier. That's just one of the other things that you do.
All right.
That,
So-
I mean, you mentioned 99 of 100. I got you to the full 100. You also have great music selection at the library.
We absolutely do. As far as a library card, Stephen,
Yes.
since
Yes.
over here, he's already thinking of which CDs he wants to go get now. By the way, nobody listens to CDs anymore.
Oh, I do.
Oh,
I'm somebody because I have a library card.
Okay, you keep that going.
It works.
Well, you
for
said
me.
they have streaming service, right?
We have streaming service.
Yeah.
That's popular. But you know what? DVDs, for some kids, they still have the DVD players. So, yeah, we've got those in a number of branches. We decide what the community wants.
Right.
So we have 15 branches, and no 2 branches are exactly alike. Some have a ton of young families. Some are geared toward older Gwinnetians. We find out what the community wants, and we provide what they need. Did you know we have passport services?
No.
Instead
I've
of
got to go to the post office.
No,
to
you
get
don't.
no,
a
you
passport.
don't. Don't
Come
do
to
that
the
to yourself.
library.
Don't
I
you?
need to do that.
Well,
to
no, you
myself.
don't. I'll tell you what.
It's
You come to
called
the library.
torture.
Come to the library. We have comfortable seating. Again, bring your food and drink, your Starbucks. Sit
AC,
down.
you've got a
I'm
lot of
telling
cool
you,
air.
it's the place to be.
And so, what do they need to do to get a library card? How
You just
easy is
walk
it?
in. If you have any,
But there's nobody at the front desk anymore to
Find
tell
the
you where to
lady.
go.
Find the person
Find
with the
kiosk
super
lady.
utility.
it's the person who
card.
says good morning to you. They're right there.
What if it's in the evening? What are they going to
Oh,
say?
Good
Harper.
evening.
Yeah.
They're not going to say good morning.
They will
during then.
adjust accordingly. The library gives what the community needs. All right. So where can people go to find out more information? Give some contact.
Find the branch nearest you. Walk in. You can also go online. We have it's GwinnettLibrary.org. Pretty easy to remember. We're on social media, all the platforms at Gwinnett Library. Walk into the branch. If you have anything that shows you're a resident of Gwinnett County, it can be an electric bill, it can be a
Library
driver's
card?
license.
Library card?
Well, then you wouldn't need another one, would you?
No, but if I couldn't find where your closest library is to you, I'd want to be able to do that. Hey, what's because I have a library
What?
near me. If you didn't know where your library was, for our listeners, if they didn't know where their library was, they could find one nearest them, even if they didn't know where it was.
GwinnettLibrary.org. And on
.org.
there, you can also put in, if you put in Swanee Library, will come up. Duluth Library, put in your city, put in the word library. If you're in Gwinnett County, it will come up for you.
You know how you Google restaurants near me or what? Just
Library
Google
is near me.
public
There you-
library near
yeah.
me.
Hey,
So
is there anything in the not in the future, but in the pipeline for you coming up that you're going to be doing? You've mentioned puppet shows and magicians and all these other things that are happening this summer, but is there anything else from a technology? You mentioned electronic books. For people that want to get a copy of a book electronically, they can do that. Is there any other type of technology that exists now that you're preparing for to say, hey, this is where we're going to go in the future? Just give us a little bit of time and we're going to be there.
You know, we are always looking at what technology will help us. We're not necessarily all for technology just because it's new, but we are already partnering, especially like Peachtree Corners, the Curiosity Lab, which is all about drones and robots and everything else. We're partnering with them, and we've already brought that technology in to show kids and adults where things are going. So we're always looking for partnerships and what is new. I think what's stunning to me since I started my job is we are so far ahead of so many other libraries, and I'm so proud of that. And at the same time, we still provide the things that everyone needs. You know, people who come to this country and have nothing, go to the library.
Yeah.
It's your taxes. It's one place I can find that my tax dollars actually or worth something. I walk in, the library provides so many things for free that other people say you have to pay for.
Yeah, no matter what your political leaning is, no matter what your
No.
history, when people talk about the largesse of government or the inefficiency of government, the public library system is one of the best investments the government has ever made. It continues to be this fantastic thing that just gives back to the community. There are other things, but we're not talking about them because we're talking with Duffie Dixon, who is the Director of Marketing and Communications from the Gwinnett County Public Library System. I think you've done a great job communicating and marketing what you guys have. How could anyone not go and renew or get their library card and start utilizing?
How long does
the
it take to get a
services?
card? If I walked in right now and I found the lady with the kiosk, could I have a card that day?
Listen,
Wow,
That's all it is?
that's it.
We better end it on that. I feel like you're trying to get her in a gotcha question, and
No,
she just keeps spouting off all this stuff that the
As
library
opposed to
does.
lying that I didn't have a library card like some people in our studio do, I freely admit I
I
don't
didn't
have
lie.
I
don't have one. I used to. We used to take the
Well,
kids.
why were you looking in your
and
wallet for one?
I
You were looking
wondered
in
if
there.
I wonder if I had it, but I have lost it. I
Stephen?
need to go renew it.
I will see you at the library of your choice, and we will get you a new
Swanee
That's my
Library.
branch too.
That's right. We're
all
going.
right.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
We will set up and we'll put it all over social media. You get a lowest level podcast celebrity you can possibly find in me.
We'll have
to get and we'll take selfies.
Well,
and I'll
yeah,
get
we'll
mine.
find something for you to sign.
It'll be
Well,
great.
It'll be
and
it'll be awesome.
I'll see the Batman like utility cart that the person has instead of the big giant front
I
desk.
just love it's
Duffie,
Batman.
well, I'm sorry. That's my hero of choice when I
That's
was growing
okay. You
up,
know what?
so,
That's what we're doing next. Now I'm going to make those carts
Yeah.
super duper
yeah, I love it.
Just make them superheroes.
superheroes.
Superhero.
No, so
Librarians
people operating them.
Librarians are already
Amen to
superheroes.
that. Duffie, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Harper,
Yes.
do you have something to tell our wonderful listening audience before
Well,
we
if you
talk
love
to our
your
second
library, then you're going to go and see it. But if you are interested in a new vehicle, why don't you give Subaru a try? We would love for you to look at the Impreza, the Legacy, the Forester, the Outback, even the BRX. Subaru of Gwinnett, they're located at 2950 Satellite Boulevard. Their sales number is 470-824-3860. Enjoy the big savings and the hassle-free experience at Subaru of Gwinnett, where people will help sell you your next car. Visit SubaruofGwinnett.com. Join their family today. Come on in and see the difference. If you're already a Subaruist, then check out their Facebook page for the latest news, offers, and community events. They are not a part of a podcast that we have. We could do that at the library, but we haven't scheduled that as
We'll get
of
on
yet.
that.
You need the low-level talent. Is that what you were saying that we need to
I
have?
am the lowest level podcasting talent available
the
today.
bottom rung. The Gilligan's
Gilligan.
head was on
Gilligan
the.
was awesome.
Remember the totem pole when it fell off?
I am so low level, Harper, that I'm going to cut you off and get to the most important thing, which is our next guest. Jess Villegas from ACUITY Business Consulting. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks very much. I'm really pleased to be here. I'm enjoying myself.
Absolutely. Well, you're going to enjoy yourself even more because we're going to ask you about your business. ACUITY Business Consulting. A lot of people hear the words business consulting. Oh, you consult with businesses. It's a lot more than that. Talk about what ACUITY does.
Well, I'd like to do that, but before I do that, I want to just say, after having lost my library card for 25 years, I got one a month ago.
Did you really?
Nice.
And now I
You-
realize there's things I'm still not doing, so I'm going to try and take advantage of that. But thank you.
Got to visit
What
other
prompted
branches,
you
right?
after 25 years to go get the card?
I'm going to start reading books again. I
There you
think.
go.
Well, so ACUITY Business Consulting is a consulting firm. So this is not the elevator speech. This is kind of like waiting at the elevator pitch. And it's so ACUITY demystifies the challenge of business excellence for leadership teams by bringing actionable clarity to the areas of strategic design, execution, and leadership development. Me, along with my colleagues, are generally going to try and entrench ourselves with businesses in order to help them either increase their profitability, or perhaps they need a turnaround situation, or they're going to prepare their business for a sale or an acquisition.
I think anyone listening to our podcast, they're business leaders, they're business owners, they've been around business for a while. The term business consulting has been around a long time. And I think one of the things that happens is people have so many different experiences, so many different opinions, they both good and bad. And there are so many different types of consulting or styles of consulting. So ACUITY and what you guys do, what you provide, instead of focusing on the similarities, let's focus in on specifically what makes you guys different, what sets you apart.
All right. Well, so then part of the mission is in the business name of ACUITY, And then the tagline generally I'll use is going to be along the lines of "See what matters." And I've found, and I've been in front of a lot of business owners and corporations, and typically in the $5 to $75 million range. And so I've seen a wide range of these things. But what happens is there are a lot of consultants that can touch every issue you want to touch. You just got to find the right consultant. But what very few of them do, I believe, is help bring some clarity around what really needs to happen. So you can get a lot of very tactical things, a lot of tools, a lot of resources, but sometimes they come in, you leave, and you say, okay, I paid for that, I think I got a good value, but I wonder if I really address the most important things. So what differentiates ACUITY is a really intense understanding of how the business operates, and then providing resources and tools and support along the things that specifically help them get to the objective that they want to reach.
It's one of the more difficult things in the first step to where a business, especially a small business, this is mine, I started this is my family, my child, I have seen it grow, I have people that are around me that I'm responsible for. I'm not doing anything wrong. Is it hard for you to say, well, you're really not, but there's a couple things that you could do better? There has to be some sensitivity to that, I would imagine, but also honesty in that you could be running it much better if we did this, that, or the other. Is there a hesitancy to really tell the truth and nothing but the truth to somebody who says, no, you can't tell me how to run my business. I know everything about it.
Well, so you can put me in the camp of an individual who says, gee, consultants, you don't need any consultants because they usually tell you 80% of what you kind of already know. The whole idea there is hopefully they've said something to you that sparks the other 20% that you're not in the middle of. But I kind of work both ends of the spectrum. So I've worked as an executive for several companies in the C-suite. But the other end of the spectrum is I'm working with small business owners, typically through entities like Invest Atlanta, which is the economic development arm of the mayor's office. And also I'm doing some work with the Gwinnett Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And those are all really small businesses. I'm saying between 50 to 150,000. And that group wants help, and it's pretty easy to say this is what you can do, but you got to provide context around what they need to accomplish. So there's a lot of truth telling, and I guess residual to that would be that I tend not to engage with situations where I can't tell the truth because that's how I want to be treated. I want someone to just help me, and it's not helpful if I'm just going to tell them what they want to hear.
Well, any business, I guess, any person would accept the fact that I may need a little coaching. Not a whole lot. Some people don't like to get scolded or yelled at, right? I've been yelled at by coaches my whole life, but the ones that I know care about me, I give them the right to do that because I know that in the end they're trying to make me better. I would imagine without the scolding and all that, your goal is to help the business achieve even more than what it is right now. Without you having to do all the work, we have other people that can help and assist you in getting that taken care of. Yes. You're helping them find that direction.
That's true, and especially with smaller business owners, they have to wear a lot of hats. And what happens is when you wear a lot of hats, the tendency is to sort of migrate to the kinds of things that you are really good at and enjoy, and then either outsource or don't do at all the things that you don't enjoy. So, for example, I'll tell every business owner that you can't treat, for example, financial acumen. You can't treat it as a one-off and something you might do, or maybe you can get a bookkeeper.
Penicillin doesn't take care of it either.
Yeah, it does not.
That's
But
a shame.
it's like going to the track meet and not knowing what the bar is. I mean, you have to understand what you don't know, and you got to know your business backward and forward. And financial acumen is a way to get there, and that's usually where I'll start. And the other thing I'll say is that most businesses really kind of know they need to do something different. Otherwise, they wouldn't pay people to come and tell them what they already know, and that's kind of what I found. And so I'm helping them manage themselves through that process.
The very first answer you gave in this interview, you used the word entrench when you were kind of talking about working with businesses. That kind of jumped out at me. Yep. So I think sometimes, and again, going back to your industry as a whole of business consulting, I think sometimes people go, the three things, I just need, 10 minutes of your time and I'll change your business. Just have me do 2 sessions. It sounds like one of the things, again, that ACUITY is different from a lot of others. You get entrenched. So talk me through the process. If someone were to reach out to you and want to have you consult with them or start a relationship, kind of talk through the first step and then talk through how long some of these relationships have lasted.
Sure. Thanks for that question. That's a good question. So what I will do is generally I'll invite someone to bring me in and just give me a chance to prove that I'm actually a good listener. I'm not going to bring them my my toolkit of solutions.
So you do not have a Batman super utility belt.
I don't.
Just to continue the theme of the show. Sorry.
Well, and if I'm going to claim any gifts from God, and I don't have very many, but I think one is that I have a pretty good sense of how to bring sort of disparate pieces of information and data and kind of coalesce them to something that actually makes some sense. But you can't get there unless you're listening. So step number one is just give me an opportunity. I don't want 10 minutes of your time. I want 2 hours of your time. And and I'll give you that time for no charge at all. Just let me talk to you, please. And then I'll go back. I'll try and assess what I think I've understood. I'll come back with some clarifying questions. That's step number 2. And then they'll come back and say, you got that wrong, or you got it right, or I forgot to say this. And then number 3 is I'll ask, okay, what do you feel you might need to do given that we agree now, this is what needs to be done. And then that helps set the tone for the third thing, which is I can construct an informal proposal. And then I send the proposal to them, and I said, fix it, change it, adjust it, because I want to make this work the way it should work for you. To elaborate, though, on the entrenchment, so I have a background in working on projects where I have an intense desire to be part of the solution. I don't like going in and out and hoping it went well. So I do that 2 ways. One, they're generally long-term projects, but not always. And also, I've operated as a fractional executive. So I've been a fractional COO and president and CEO. And so I go in, I have all the responsibilities that any executive has, but I do it as a consultant. And that typically says, all right, if you're here, we're going to come to you if there's a problem.
So that's more than, hey, I got this book or I got this program to go through. There's skin in the game. There's, hey, I'm gonna get in the trenches with you, and we're gonna walk this out together. Yes. Some of the material that we were able to look at pre-show kind of references something I think that's unique to ACUITY. The quote is aspirational culture. Talk a little bit about that term.
So what I mean by that is that oftentimes, most people intuitively understand that culture is critical to sort of execution. There's lots of books about it. A lot of people talk about it very casually. But for me, it's a lot more intentional. And what it is that I would like to help you leverage your sort of cultural dynamics with your operational dynamics. However, just because this is your culture doesn't mean that you've got all the right things going. And so part of my practice is to try and introduce things that you want to aspire to if you're not there. And there's going to be generally like 4 items. There'll be systems thinking, business acumen, accountability, and continuous improvement. And those are all cultural, and they have to be embedded in the organization, and that doesn't happen easily. And that can go along with family atmosphere and fairness in dealings and trust. So you want your culture, you want to recognize what the culture is, but you want to have some level of aspirational intention so that you can move to the next level and try and execute.
Hey, Jess, give an example of a company. You don't have to be specific, for privacy reasons you may want to, but of something that you said, not only did I recognize the problem, but I was able to help, and here are the results of that. Do you have any specifics for us?
I do. There's a company, there's a lawn and garden company. They're in the kind of the distribution space, and I worked for them as a president 10, 12 years ago. And then, of course, I would talk to my former boss. I left in good terms, and every 2 years we'd have lunch, and that was that. So one day he calls and said, listen, I want to sell the business. And, I'd like you to come back and help us prepare for that because I looked at your website, and your website says now you're doing that. So we re-engaged, and we signed a contract for a year. And the idea was by the end of the year, he'd be ready to sell the business. Okay. At the onset of that agreement, we had these horrific supply chain problems. And all of a sudden, their freight cost increased by 400%, from $1 million to $4 million. And then also the delivery time from products that were coming from overseas went from 2 months to 6 months. And then things would hang out in the ports, and then they'd send the company invoices for stuff that you couldn't get delivered, but it was sitting in the ports and they wanted to get paid for it. And so immediately we had to switch the dynamics to a supply chain project and evaluate that. So the whole year became around survival. So we went from an aspiration of let's sell the business in a year to let's make sure we don't have to reorganize in a way that's very painful. And at the end of that year, that's where we're at. So the good news is we were able to manage that because we went in there and evaluated this is where the time and the energy needs to be. And then the bad news, not for me necessarily, but for the owner, is that now he was 2 years behind in his plan. So I fully hope and fully expect that a year from now he'll say, well, I'm glad Jess recognized that. I'd like to bring him back in because he still wants to sell the business. And so that's a way of sort of changing gears in mid-river, to try and work.
Interesting you say that, because my follow-up question was going to be, how is your follow-up? In other words, you signed a 1-year deal, and if it takes a little bit longer, but you're still going to be a part of that process. You're all in, right? You got skin in the game now, and you want to make sure that even after a year or 2 years or 3 years that you help to achieve the goal of your initial contract in the first place. So talk about how you guys are there even after the organizational changes and your whole reason for being there in the first place, how you follow up with that.
So the work on that began 10 years ago when I first started working with them. So I make the assumption that if I work with someone, there's going to be a season in which I might be able to support them, and then we're going to move out of that season, but another season is going to come. And so I get 80% of my business on referrals. I do very little sort of cold marketing because someone's going to say, I remember what Jess did, I'm going to bring him back. But I'm also going to prompt them. I'm going to anticipate that they're going to hear from me 6 months before they think they even should call me, because I keep in touch and I understand what's going on with those former businesses. And I've had those relationships that I can do it that way. And one other thing is that my agreements, when I say agreements, they're not extremely formal. If I have 80% trust with my customers, I have a 80% formal agreement where we're going to do less. If we're done in 9 months, I'm saying there's nothing for me to do. If we need another 3 months, we'll take 3 months.
I think some people who might be listening to this, maybe they're kind of starting out, their businesses aren't at that 5 to 75 million type of range, and they're hearing the expertise, they're hearing the history, they're hearing just all the different ways that you've helped and worked around different businesses, and think, Jess is out of my league. I can't get ACUITY Business Consulting because that's just, they're not going to touch a business like mine. Talk to that person. It sounds like you are giving back through some of the organizations you're part of, yes, and there may be some resources they need to see there. But is there someone listening that you would want to go, hey, you might think you can't afford me or whatever, but there's ways you might be able to help them, or at least point them in a good direction?
Yeah, no, I can specifically say I can help them. I'm in the last 5 to 7 years of my career. I sort of have a personal commitment that a third of my business is going to be working at that end of the spectrum, and so as I'm contracted by Invest Atlanta, there'll be individuals who are going to make their way to me. They need primarily help to put together applications and business plans and things that are appropriate for their revenue level. So the way it works is they contact Invest Atlanta. They push the button, says, I need help. Somehow they end up in my inbox, and then we're at it. So that's one way. And those businesses I mentioned earlier, they're 50, 150,000, some as high as $1 million, but not a lot of them. So that's one way. The other way is that I have a colleague, I'm going to give him a plug. His name is Dr. Gilberto Moreno. He's my colleague and an exceptional sort of thinker and along the lines, and we collaborate on the development of small business tools and training that we deliver through the Hispanic Chamber via Zoom and in person. And that can be just curriculums that we design and deliver, and then we'll design another curriculum for the next level up so that the Chamber can move people through the system. And when they're done, whether it's 2 years from now, they're hopefully much more comfortable in running their businesses. And those are small businesses.
I was going to make a joke. It wasn't going to be good, so that's why I didn't make it. But
another one of those.
Yeah,
ones?
another one. I know. There's at least one a show I'm contracted to do. Duffie talking about the Gwinnett County Public Library System and just how much the library gives back out of tax dollars. And I was going to make a joke about, you're obviously not a nonprofit, you're a for-profit business, but yet the best for-profit businesses find ways to help and to give back through Invest Atlanta, through the Hispanic Chamber, through and there's the small business association and SCORE. There are so many great organizations that either are incredibly cost effective or nonprofit, so you can get free help. And so apart from that Invest Atlanta, and they hopefully end up in your inbox, I would also just ask, someone with your level of expertise, for those people kind of in business, if they don't go through Invest Atlanta, where can they start to kind of learn that financial acumen? If they don't know their numbers, if they don't know that kind of stuff, do they need to, maybe, who knows, maybe there's a lab through the public library system that they can go through, but what advice would you give them to kind of be better at their business 6 months from now than they are right now? What do they need to be doing? What do they need to be reading or looking
So,
at?
for example, if I get involved with that business, I'm going to generally engage them at a financial level because I think that's the roots of any business. At that point in time, what I'll do is, and I'll continue to engage with them informally forever. So I probably have 20 people that I just talk to. Whenever they call me, they have a question, I answer it. But to have a more formal way to deal with that, Invest Atlanta actually has a lot of partners, and there's a website. It's called ATL in Business, and when you access that website, there's all kinds of resources that are free for people who can actually get help. A lot of very structured help, because that I wouldn't necessarily engage them through every one of those steps. So that's what they can do. That's one place to go.
Yeah, real quick, Jess, if I had a business and it was just getting a little bit too daunting, I don't have all the answers, I'm not really sure where we should go next, they would want to reach out to you. Is that correct?
Yes.
How do they get in
love to
touch
do
with
that.
you?
So they can do that a few different ways. So first of all, they can call me directly at area code 678-644-9311. They can go to my website, and the website is ACUITYBusiness.consulting. So I want to stress .consulting because you don't sort of see that what's the proper way to
.com or .org.
The tagline, the end line.
Yeah.
So it's ACUITYBusiness.consulting. Those are two ways. And I would invite, if anyone just wants to have a conversation, I'm not trying to figure out how to make the most money out of every interaction. I'm trying to figure out how to remain.
What? Man, you're supposed to. That's all. Of course not. You're trying to help. Go ahead.
I want to be helpful, but I also want to feel peace and bliss until I get to my retirement. And the way I do that is I have a lot of discretion about the type of work I do.
Well, the reason you're able to do that now is because as you were working in all the businesses and being a part of the C-suite, you took care of your financial acumen, made sure and focus on the financials so that you can continue in business and get to this point where you can still be profitable but also give back. By the way, for those who maybe needed it but don't want to raise their hand, I will spell it. Acuity is ACUITY. So ACUITYBusiness.consulting. I did want to ask if you got consulted to use consulting on the end as a tagline. Just to be
did somebody consult
different.
you
Did
about
somebody
that?
say,
So
hey,
they-
this would be a good thing?
I put together a focus group.
No, he did his own consulting.
consulting.
Oh, did he focus? Yeah.
No, well, let me do this. So since I'm trying not to do too many plugs, so my son is the director of strategy for a business in New Orleans, and he's in the marketing area. And I said I need to rebrand. As a matter of fact, I've interviewed with you with this group 10 years ago under another name, and I operated under that name. But about 5 years ago, I had to rebrand to have my business background be the tip of the spear versus my organizational development background. And so I said to him, I need to be rebrand. Can you help me? And then I just did everything he told me for the first time in my life.
So you were open to being consulted
Right, and
with
he-
things you're not an expert
And
in.
he says use .consulting. And I said, that's
Love it.
fine. Now, it may have been a mistake, but I don't know that yet. So I'll have to go after him once I figure that out.
Yeah, but you did get your library card.
I got my
before you
library
even came. You were thinking ahead to get your library card before you came on this show.
I'm always thinking ahead. It might be a month. It might be a couple of days.
Yeah.
Jess Villegas from ACUITY Business Consulting, also a champion of Invest Atlanta. Thank you so much for being here today.
All right. Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Harper, I want to remind everybody, we've been talking about business and business consulting. People can also talk to Regions Commercial Banking. They're here to help your business's financial future stay on track. Regions Commercial Banking has a team of experienced bankers in Gwinnett who can guide you in all areas of growth. Get the resources you need so every step can move you closer to your business goals. To learn more, visit regions.com/commercial-banking. Regions Bank.
Member.
Wow, that was good. FDIC. Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, well, you did okay there.
Yeah.
How about your bad joke? Do you have another bad joke for
No,
us? or
I
you're
don't
just
have
gonna leave
another.
us with
Only
the
one per show.
Okay.
Only one per show.
And acuity is the word of the day?
Acuity is the word of the day.
Yeah.
And
And
I'm
the
going to go get
action
my
phrase
library.
is your Batman utility belt.
It wasn't a belt. It's the cart that it replaced the giant desk.
But Batman had a utility belt.
And by the way, I think Jess's superpower that he was talking about is his listening skills and the expertise that he brings, much like the expertise of the librarians who will help you at the Gwinnett County Public
He
Library.
didn't mention his dancing to the opening music
No.
as one of his skills.
Well,
You're the only one that's basically...
Apparently, that's my super villainy. So, for our producer Mike, we want to thank our guests Duffie and Jess for being here, and for Harper LaBelle. We will catch you next time on Gwinnett Business Radio.